I beg to move that this House do now adjourn.
The question is that this House do now adjourn. Mr Bayo, Alaba.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I am pleased to bring forward this debate on government support for higher education. The UK is home to some of the world's most respected universities, and we all benefit from the opportunities, knowledge and growth they create. Whether you're a young person pursuing exciting academic ambitions, a member of staff supporting students through their studies, or a small business capitalising on the busy trade of a university city, the value of our higher education institutions is undeniable. In my own constituency, residents have enjoyed the opportunities for social mobility and the economic contributions of the University of Essex's campus in Southend for the past 18 years. During that time, thousands of students have graduated, gone on to fuel regional and national economies, and finding fulfilling careers in the process. The university's nursing, midwifery, dental hygiene and social care courses are particularly popular and often oversubscribed. Many of those enrolled grew up in South Essex and go on to work within the area after graduating. The campus is also a major employer of residents, some of whom have worked across catering, student support services and teaching for almost 2 decades, but that is soon set to end. Just before Christmas, the University of Essex announced that it would be closing its Southend campus this summer, throwing the futures of the 1,000 enrolled students into uncertainty and putting 400 jobs at risk. That proposed closure will see a direct loss of £101 million from the city's economy. In the wake of the announcement, I've spoken to dozens of staff, students and stakeholders impacted by this decision. I've heard from students like Lulu, a first-year marketing student who was just 2 months into her course when she was informed of the closure. Lulu describes herself as a bright individual who has always enjoyed studying and does not want her educational journey to end. There are also stories of dedicated student support staff like Judy, who has worked in a campus accommodation apartment for the past 8 years and now faces the devastating prospect of redundancy. And I've spoken with internationally headhunted lecturers, many of whom came to the UK on skilled worker visas, which could be revoked if their roles disappear. One Brazilian lecturer I met with spoke about the impending impact that the threat of compulsory emigration would have on her young family. If her job was lost, she would have just 60 days to leave the country. To her, the threat of deportation is a frightening reality. The Forum, Southend Central Library and well-used community hub could also be at risk following the closure of the campus. I will give way.
Can I commend the Honourable Gentleman for Southend East and Rochford for bringing this forward? I spoke to him beforehand just to get a thrust of his comments. And does the Honourable Member not agree that budget cuts means that universities must cut domestic undergraduate numbers to absorb the funding cuts, limiting local access to higher education, which is exacerbating the existing trend of young people leaving university across the United Kingdom, Great Britain and Northern Ireland, depriving the economy of skilled graduates, and this cannot be allowed to continue if we are to reap the benefits of our first-class education system for future employees and workers. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank the member for his contribution. Yes, the business model that a lot of universities have focused on over the last 14 years has meant that they've focused on international students, and it's one of the reasons why we're here today, having that discussion. So I welcome his comments. Passionate staff fear that if the university's share of the library is sold, the result would be significant financial pressure on the remaining partners. They understandably fear the knock-on impacts of the campus's closure. East 15, one of the UK's leading performing arts schools, is also set to cut its Southend campus or Southend courses as a result of the closure. Students training with East 15 contribute to the cultural character of the city long after they have graduated, providing Southend with links to arts and entertainment industries further afield. I share residents' pride in the success of talented Southend East 15 alumni, such as the comedian Maisie Adam. There are also significant concerns that the suggestion that 800 students are able to relocate to the university's main campus in Colchester has been overstated. What's more, What's more, through dialogue with students and staff, the suggestion that 200 students will be unable to complete their courses at all appears to be an underestimation. This is simply not good enough. I'm working with the leader of Southend Council, Councillor Daniel Cowan, as well as my honourable friend, the member for Southend Western Leigh, to ensure that if an alternative provider can be found for courses not available in Colchester, that students will be able to complete their studies in Southend. Can the Minister provide any reassurance to these students who rightly feel confused and concerned about the future of their studies? Whilst questions remain unanswered about the university's decision-making and communication in the lead-up to this announcement, the planned closure is not an isolated event. It is a devastating symptom of 14 years of underinvestment in higher education by the previous Conservative government that left universities and colleges across the country struggling to stay afloat. The government slashed direct teaching grants for universities, making tuition fees the primary source of income for institutions. At the same time, it capped tuition fees, leading to an unsustainable business model that saw income tied to an ever-increasing number of enrolled students, and the impact of that cannot be ignored. Elsewhere in the UK, Nottingham University is planning for job losses of 350 staff members. The University of Strathclyde is looking for 35 million in savings, and the University of Edinburgh is also set to move towards a sweep of compulsory redundancies. I will give it.
I'm devastated to hear of the situation in Southend, but I know in York the financial pressures are also very prevalent, and it's very clear that the financial model is failing, and this is impacted not only by the resourcing that universities are able to generate, but also the change to international student visas. Does he not agree with me that the government need to undertake a complete review of higher education funding and ensure that the model works to invest not only in education but also into our local economy?
I thank my honourable friend for her contribution. Yes, I do believe that some work needs to be done in terms of sort of how we look at the business model to make sure that it's sustainable, certainly in terms of sort of higher education. It's a huge, significant asset of our country, and it's something that we need to sort of look at and future-proof. So I welcome those comments.
Would the honourable gentleman give way?
On that point, yes.
I thank the honourable gentleman for giving way and for securing this debate, and I share his concern about the impact of these measures in Southend, which is a community I know very well, but would he agree with me that the community in Colchester would also be hard hit by that situation, with a number of redundancies happening in and around that campus as well?
I thank my friend for her contribution. Absolutely, they are right. This closure affects the community in Southend, but also the community in Colchester. 400 staff will be made redundant, and that's across both campuses. But also, another consequence of that is the uncertainty how this sort of impacts the student community, as well as the staff and the whole sort of wraparound community that supports this institution. So yeah, I absolutely understand. I welcome this government's actions to support students and universities financially, including through an inflation-based increase to both maintenance loans and tuition fees.
On that point, will you give way?
I will.
I thank my honourable friend for giving away. I am also desperately sad to hear the news about Essex University. As a former student, gave me the platform to get here and speak today. On the subject of student loans, though, I've got Doncaster Sheffield Airport in my area. At the moment, if you want to become a pilot on a formal course, you can't access student loans. For me, in areas where there is great deprivation and disadvantaged students, it's really, really difficult then to become a pilot and fulfil your ambition. Does he agree with me that we need to be looking at the future courses and how we support and fund students to do those too?
I thank my honourable friend for his contribution. Yes, I've met with members of the aviation community in my constituency, South and East of Rochford. We have London Southend Airport, so I've met with the senior leadership team there, and again they've expressed the need to sort of get more talent, more pilots through. But it's hard, it's expensive, and it's prohibitively expensive for people from particular socio-economic background. So absolutely, I do think sort of more work needs to be done to sort of enable people from all backgrounds to access all courses and career opportunities. So I thank him for that. It is also encouraging to see the efforts being made to help our world-leading higher education institutions work with industry partners to capitalise on the research they produce. On that note, I'm hopeful that the £30 million of funding recently awarded to universities and research experts will incubate growth and create jobs for the future. These measures, paired with the rejoining of the Erasmus study scheme, are expected to deliver a brighter financial outlook for our universities following more than a decade of underfunding. Given the scale of the challenge facing higher education providers, I urge the government to continue exploring additional support. Although I today focus on Southend, I think it is vitally important that we acknowledge and address the increasing pressures emerging across the nation. There are things we can learn from our international counterparts where close ties between institutions and industry have often given rise to pioneering companies. These relationships not only fuel innovation, but offer universities a reliable source of income that can shield their success from unpredictable financial pressures. We have the talent to do the same here and should support universities in commercialising their intellectual property through public investment and by encouraging private backing. While I welcome this government's plans to streamline the Intellectual Property Office, I hope that universities and other education providers will be given adequate thought when carrying out these reforms. Beyond IP and investment, we should be supporting students to build industry connections during their time at university by offering a year of work placement on every course and skill-building discovery modules. I also believe it is worth expanding the investigation of the university grant reintroduction to reduce over-reliance on finding an ever-increasing number of international students. As I acknowledged, universities offer far more than research and economic growth, and only plan for support. And any plan for support must be accompanied by engagement with the wider community. The issues posed by the planned closure of the University of Essex Southend campus continue to evolve and develop. I want to thank the residents who have been in contact with me in recent weeks to share their stories, and I share their very real concerns. I'm also grateful for the support from unions such as Unison and the UCU on this matter. Unison recently launched its Stop the Cuts campaign in the hopes of keeping the campus open and avoiding compulsory redundancies across Essex University. My colleagues and I are committed to continuing to push the senior leadership team to achieve a solution that works for staff, students and the whole of Southend. Can the Minister speak to how the government is supporting higher education providers across the UK to prevent situations similar to the one facing the University of Essex in Southend? Thank you.
David Sampson-Burton.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I thank my honourable friend for Southend, East and Rochford for bringing forward this debate. He knows that this is a matter that we both care passionately about, especially given the impact the closure of the Southend campus of Essex University will have on both our constituencies and our constituents. It really is a great shame for the students of today, for the students of tomorrow, and a great loss for the city itself. Let me begin by expressing my backing for my honourable friend's positive moves to support students who have expressed concerns to both of us in recent weeks. I understand and I share those fears, which is why my honourable friend and I, together with the leader of Southend City Council, are pursuing the university's leaders to create a workable plan to at least alleviate the worst effects of this deeply disappointing decision and find some kind of resolution for the staff, the students and the city of Southend. My own university experience has told a very different story. I was so fortunate. It said that education opens doors to worlds you never knew existed. I look around me now, and when I started out as a child of a working class, single parent family, the first to ever attend university, I could never have imagined standing here today. The opportunities afforded to me by attending university and completing my degree, I believe, have helped shape the career that I have today and make me the person I am, both personally and professionally. It might come as a surprise, Madam Deputy Speaker, when you look at the shrinking violet I am now, that I trained as an actor, taking a degree in performing arts at the world-renowned LIPA in Liverpool. So the end of the acclaimed East 15 acting school in Southend, a casualty of this campus closure, is a loss very close to my heart. I spoke to a course lecturer over the weekend who is devastated at the loss of this facility, not just for her, as she will not be able to transfer to Colchester, but for the students and also the city as it loses the Cliff Down Theatre, a much-loved cultural resource. I, like the rest of my generation, was lucky enough to get a grant for my degree. That experience changed my life, gave me lifelong skills and abilities, and expanded my horizons. The days of grants are sadly long gone, but the ambition should not be, and that is why the closure of the Southend campus is just a disaster, denying the students of the future opportunities of training in their chosen area. Many of these are key worker courses, vitally needed nurses, dental technicians and midwives, all trained in Southend for the past 18 years at that campus. Now, all that is to end, and local youngsters will have to go elsewhere to fulfil their dreams. But if you don't have the means to do so, this could snuff out your ambition, deny your potential with all of its lifelong repercussions.
Would the Honourable Member give way?
I will give way briefly.
I thank the Honourable Member for giving way. Would he agree with me that it's a desperate situation when so many of our universities are heading into deficit? A very large number, around 40 to 50%, judged by the Office for Students. And would he agree that we really need to see some action here to put our universities back on a secure financial footing?
I would agree with my honourable friend and her analysis of this. We have been left this situation by the last government, and this government has a job to get universities back on a good foot. But I know the government will do all they can. I will hope the government will do all they can to answer her concerns. But I have grave concerns over the impact the closure will have on the future pipeline to those skills and much-needed jobs within South Essex, in particular for future generations to come. If a facility is no longer in existence here, then how will we ensure that we can attract people to train in these vitally important areas? So will the Minister give me an assurance that promotion and attraction to these vital skills courses elsewhere in Essex for young people in my constituency and the wider South Essex area will be considered, including how we make sure the ease of access to them to participate now that the campus won't be there in Southend. The challenges the students in the middle of their courses now face are obvious and too numerous to expand on here. From having the expense of commuting to the campus in Colchester, to remissibly being forced to abandon caring duties for their families, the future of this cohort is fundamentally at risk, and we are fighting hard to make sure no one is forced to drop out. My honourable friend and I have heard terrible stories about students quitting mid-course already, despite being in deeper debt, and this must not happen. So can the Minister give me assurances that the Department for Education and the Department for Health and Social Care will do all they can to ensure that no one is forced to abandon their courses because of this closure? My honourable friend for Southend, East and Rochford has outlined the work this government is doing to bolster higher education after 14 years of Tory neglect. I'm delighted to see the government will reintroduce targeted means-tested maintenance grants by the end of this Parliament for disadvantaged students on priority courses. These grants will provide financial support that does not need to be repaid, helping to remove barriers to opportunity and making sure no one is left behind. I want to see opportunities retained locally for my constituents in Southend, West and Leigh. So even though the university campus may be no more with us, the crucible of ideas that were forged there for so many futures here must not be lost. Thank you.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I would like to begin by expressing my gratitude to my honourable friend, the member for Southend, East and Rochford, for securing this debate. My honourable friend's dedicated record of 15 years of service as a youth mentor, alongside his work as a school governor, overseeing the education of young people, provides an invaluable perspective on these matters and in particular on the transition into higher education. I would also like to note the contribution and efforts of the member for Southend West and Leigh in this matter as well. The work of both Southend members in supporting students in their area demonstrates their clear commitment to the principle that education must be the primary engine for breaking down barriers to opportunity. This government shares that ambition, and we are focused on delivering the structural changes required to make that a reality. I was personally struck by my honourable friend's remarks during the second reading of the English Devolution and Community Empowerment Bill, where he stated that his constituency of Southend East and Rochford is a proud coastal community that has too often been left behind when it comes to connectivity, educational outcomes and investment in skills. Our post-16 education and skills white paper sets out our vision for a world-leading skills system which breaks down barriers. We are determined to ensure that, as the Honourable Member said, where someone lives should not negatively impact their future. Our skills white paper provides the blueprint for delivering the Prime Minister's new target of 2/3 of young people participating in higher level learning, academic, technical or apprenticeships by age 25, up from 50% today. But we can only deliver this by putting the sector on a secure financial footing. That is why we will increase tuition fee caps for all higher education providers in line with forecast inflation in academic years 26-27, 27-28. We will then legislate, when parliamentary time allows, to increase caps automatically for future academic years. And this is crucial for getting to the root of some of the challenges our higher education institutions face regarding sustainability. This increased investment must be matched by a commitment to excellence. We will make future fee uplifts conditional on higher education providers achieving a higher quality threshold through the Office for Students quality regime and restrict fee income where that cannot be demonstrated. This protects taxpayers' investment and rewards providers for higher quality. We are also committed to supporting the aspirations of every person who meets the requirements and wants to attend higher education. We will introduce targeted means-tested maintenance grants up to £1,000 a year from academic year 28-29, providing vital extra support for students from low-income households without increasing their debt. These will be funded by the introduction of a levy on income from international students. To help students from the most deprived backgrounds, we will future-proof financial support by increasing maintenance loans in line with forecast inflation every academic year. Furthermore, I'm particularly proud that we will provide extra support for care leavers who will automatically become eligible to receive the maximum rate of maintenance loan from academic year 26-27. Now, turning to the situation specifically in Southend, I'm aware of the concerns raised about the University of Essex decision regarding its Southend campus, and I want to assure my honourable friends that the department is working closely with the Office for Students, the university and local partners to understand and secure practical options that would affect students. The department's priority is to protect students' interests by ensuring continuity of study and access to clear information, support and practical options. Where a campus closes, providers are expected to act in the best interests of students, including enabling transfers where this is their choice. Honourable members rightly expect good quality communications from the institution about how this change is being implemented. This change should support improved value for money for all and should be backed by a stronger focus on increasing participation for disadvantaged learners. I know my honourable friends, the members for both Southend constituencies, have spoken directly with my noble friend, the Minister for Skills, and that they have been working proactively with the Department for Health and Social Care, ministers there, the NHS England and local partners too. Their local leadership on seeking early local collaboration will play a vital part in minimising disruption for students into the future. My department will continue to work closely with the Office for Students, the university and others in the local area, including members of Parliament, as the situation relating to the University of Essex develops. I want to thank the members for Southend East and West for their continued efforts in championing the needs of local students, and to reassure them that the government will support their efforts to manage campus changes in a way that minimises disruption for students and ensures that the area has a bright future. Thank you.
The question is that this House do now adjourn. As many of that opinion say aye? Aye. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Order, order.